Welcome to
back
the podcast.
to the podcast.
Welcome to the Visceral Voice podcast. Welcome to the Visceral Voice podcast. I'm your host, Christine Schneider. Through this podcast, I aim to bring you the most current, up-to-date research on voice science, function, pain science, movement, and everything in between. I am on a quest to learn everything I can about the living, breathing body and its intricate connection to the voice. This podcast documents the continuation of my learning and my experience as a professional singer, a nutritional consultant, a movement specialist, and a manual therapist. Join us as we strive to provide current, knowledgeable, creative, and compassionate information to help you restore, regain, and create happiness and success on your vocal journey. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to be talking with Stephen Ridley today. Stephen is a former investment banker turned world-renowned pianist, composer, and founder of the Ridley Academy. Recently awarded Best Online Piano Course of 2025. Yay, which we will chat about today. After leaving a high-paying corporate career, Stephen pursued his passion for music, performing for royalty in Dubai, billionaires like Elon Musk, and audiences in over 50 countries. His emotionally charged, high-energy performances blend classical skills with raw creativity. Through Ridley Academy, Stephen has helped tens of thousands of students unlock their musical potential and express themselves freely. His mission? To make music education inspiring, accessible, and unforgettable. Stephen, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome to the Visceral Voice podcast.
Thank you so much. And what a fantastic name for a podcast. Visceral Voice. What a fantastic name. Very happy to be here.
I am so excited to hear about your journey from adolescence, just learning to play piano at a very, very young age, and then growing up and going into investment banking, and your decision to leave investment banking and follow your dream, which of course is what we're here to help inspire people to do, is follow their passion and their dream.
It's funny, when you ask about that, the dream wasn't always clear in the beginning. It's something that kind of got formed along the way. And it's really, really strange to sit as you're introducing me and think, wow, that is kind of how it went down, huh? But when I was living it in real time, I was born in a village. There was 40 people in my village. And so anything beyond that was just imagination. And how did I form that imagination? Well, I would listen to songs and I'd read books and I'd watch movies. And then every now and then my dad would travel because he was selling this industrial product that nobody wanted. If you've seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, it was kind of that, but for industrial bearings. And so every now and then I'd go to like a coal mine in India or, an industrials factory in North Australia or some random thing. But as a kid, all I wanted was an adventure because that's what's missing in a village. I wanted to experience a life as rich with emotional variety as I would see in these novels and stories and movies and songs. I wanted to live a life that was worth writing a song about. I wanted to experience love and loss and adventure and getting knocked and knocking and all of it, right? And I wanted the thrill of actually living because that was what was missing for me. And I didn't know how I was going to do that, much less how I would finance it. And everybody around me was just like, you work hard at school, then you get a good job. So I worked hard at school and then I got a good job. And I ended up working in the top team of the top investment bank in the planet. by this point, my dad had died. It was just, me and my mom, she was working as a midwife in a government hospital. We didn't really have so much money after he died. And so getting this job, I thought, well, this is it. Here begins the adventure, right? Because, well, not quite. Not quite at all, unless your idea of an adventure is 20 hours a day sitting at a desk doing back solved maths. It really sucked a lot more than I thought success would. I expected success to come with a certain feeling, a certain sensation attached to it. And if this was success, well, it felt a lot like depression and miserable and burnt out and uninterested in what I'm doing and uninspired by my own future and really uninvested in the game that I was playing. Win or lose, I don't care. This is meaningless to me.
Wow.
And that's a super dystopian place to be when you're 20, 21 years old. And I'd worked my whole life by that point, and it was pretty gut-wrenching to kind of find out that might not be all I'd hoped it would be. And is this it? Is this the adult world? Is this all a life can be? Was it all just make-believe in those stories like my mom tells me? Is it all just fiction? Or can we actually have a life that is a bit more exciting and challenging and has got more highs and lows and more volume and color and vibrancy? And I don't know the answer to that because I'm young and stupid. But while I'm young and stupid, I've got just enough naivety and misplaced confidence to leave that job with no plan whatsoever, no safety net, no plan, no anything. And I left investment banking. Everybody around me told me I'd lost my mind, including my mom. Fake friends immediately left me. My gold digging girlfriend immediately went and found a new place to dig. It was an abrupt change in lifestyle, and I very quickly found myself playing piano in the streets the same day I had left the job, in fact. And that was the start of an actual adventure. And I've been writing that story for just over a decade now, and that's been the most fulfilling journey, it's led to Ridley Academy. It's led, as you said in your introduction, it's led to me going around the world. I've actually played in over 70 countries. I've played for people I didn't even know existed and parties I didn't know occurred. I've also played very swanky things and runway shows and less swanky things and ashrams and hospitals and, places where you can really make a positive impact and spread a light. I've had the most amazing adventure. And then that led to me building a school in COVID. That was really helpful because being in the performance business during COVID sucked. And that seemed like a good time to actually launch what had previously just been a one day I'll do this type idea. And then here we are. And now I'm sitting here on the Visceral Voice podcast talking to you. I always knew it would end this way.
Yeah.
This was the plan all along.
Yeah, I want to go back to that first kind of street performance. And because I think this is huge. In New York City, there are amazing street performers, the best I've ever seen anywhere. Well, that's not true. I've seen really amazing ones in London too. But the street performers can be so incredible. And then watching them get such remarkable careers out of what can happen from just kind of sitting down and playing an instrument or singing or whatever it is. So that I'd love to kind of go back to that for you. And how long was that for you? Was it just that one time? Were you a street performer for a certain amount of months or years?
Well, I started on the 22nd of October, 2012. I did it every single day from 9 a.m. in the morning to 1 a.m. in the morning. I would get to the piano at 7:30 because I'd leave the piano there overnight, and then I'd have to get there early before the street cleaning team would remove it. And then this piano would move around because eventually through the elements, it kind of gets destroyed, or the police come and take it away from me eventually, or there's a range of things that can cause a piano to disappear. But, and then you've got the joy of getting a new piano and getting that to some location. But I played every single day for 9 months, not a day off. I didn't do that because I had to. I didn't do it because I had a boss. I did it because there was just nothing else in this universe that brought me anywhere close to the connection with other people, the feeling of doing something meaningful. The pure joy of every 3 minutes getting to be Mick Jagger for the few hundred people that stop. Like it was freedom. It was total freedom. There's nothing to stop me. I go out, I sit down, I play. If it sucks, nobody stops. So I quickly learn how to get good at my craft. That's the beauty of playing in the street, by the way. It gets you out of your head. Like you might think that's a good idea. All right, we'll play it, see if anyone stops. Oh, no. Okay, good. And you play something else and everyone stops. And so you get to work on your craft in real time with people in a way that's a little bit scary and a little bit challenging, but very, very real and very human and immediate feedback. And you play your heart out, and then a bunch of strangers who would otherwise never have met you in either of your lives will come up and tell you the most personal things. And a lot of these people would then invite me, hey, I've got a bar in New York, or I've got an ashram in India, or I've got an ice cream shop in Australia, or I've got a series of venues in Brazil, or I've got a record label in Russia. And I just started saying yes to all of it because every one of those things sounded so cool. And I'd be like,
adventure.
Yeah, adventure, right? Let's go. And those lead to the next connections and the next people you meet. And the beauty of playing in the street is on Brick Lane in London, 120,000 people a day walk down that street, which is 5 Madison Square Gardens. Even the Rolling Stones don't play 5 Madison Square Gardens in one day. So the quantity of connection that you can get in a day playing in the street in a city like London or any major city is astronomical. It's astronomical. And what that does for developing your craft, and what it does for your own promotion of your music, and what it does for making connections if you want to be that sterile, there's nothing like it. And so in total, I played for just over 2 years in different countries around the world. And I still do it. I just don't do it every day now. Now it's just something I do because I love it. But I did that nonstop. That was the gig for 2 years. And then that created a lot of inquiries for like, quote unquote, real shows and private parties and come here and do this. And as I started saying yes to more of that, that kind of led to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then before you know it, I'm going and we're off.
Yes. Yeah. Watching you play is really exhilarating. I've never seen you play in person, but I have watched some of your videos. And because I have seen Harry Connick in person, Harry Connick Jr. play, I watched you play and I was like, wow, this is such extraordinary, passionate, exciting music and playing. And so I kind of likened it to what I remember feeling when I was at a live Harry Connick Jr. performance.
That's a huge compliment. Thank you. I'm a huge fan of his, and I love music. I don't know what to say. I love music. You don't work a piano, you play a piano. It's a very playful activity. But so I don't want to say I take it seriously, but I'm very passionate about music, and I'm passionate about trying to push a song to be what I think it can be, even at the expense of my own fingers. Like if I can get it there, like, so that's cool to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. So, okay, now I want to go kind of way back because, of course, you started kind of being the street performer on the day that you decided to leave investment banking. But of course, that's not when piano started for you.
No.
You actually started fiddling around on the piano at a very, very young age.
I did. My mom tells me I was 3. To be honest, I don't totally remember it. What I remember is I was at a party. It was a New Year's Eve party, and I used to go to bed really early because I was a baby. And but obviously I'm going to stay awake now till like 1 a.m, 2 a.m, because it's New Year's Eve. And so I've started throwing tantrums. We're at about 10 p.m. and I'm getting into restless tantrum phase, and that doesn't go down well. And I remember like my dad being real angry with me, and we were at his friend's house. Now his friend is called Giovanni Delasio. He's an Italian man, the most beautiful, kind, loving man, who I will forever thank. And he went up, he could see that I was restless and having a hard time with all this shenanigans. And so he went upstairs and he got his son's little 2-octave $20 keyboard, and he brought it downstairs with a pair of headphones, and he sat me on the stairs and he was like, look, you sit on that step and you can do whatever you want with this thing. Put your headphones in, have some fun. And he walked off. No instructions, just play. And this was one of those like little keyboards that has loads of different sound effects and a million different buttons to press. And so you press a button and then the sound changes, and that was the coolest thing to me. And I fiddled around with this thing. And then the next thing I know, it's 3:00 in the morning. It's time to leave. Like 5 hours passed like a click. And he let me go. He let me keep that keyboard. And I used to have to wake up very early to go to school because I traveled a very long way to get to school. It took me about 2 hours to get to school. But I would wake myself up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning just to play with this thing. Again, nobody was making me. It was just, I didn't know what I'm doing. I just knew this was so much fun. And my parents were good parents because they didn't really let me have a TV. So I was allowed to do like books, or I can go play outside, and there was no other kids to play with. So that was pretty boring. So this automatically became the coolest thing in my life. And that's how it started for me. It started just fumbling around, which is a really inefficient, spending thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. It's like if you were learning to box by teaching yourself, you would end up pretty ugly pretty fast. It's kind of like that. It's the musical equivalent. You do a lot of circles. But I was young enough where I was willing to do that, and I was bored enough where I was willing to do that. But all that did was stoke my flame to really want to learn. Like, I really want to learn now, because I just get these little hints of magic. Every now and then I'll accidentally hit something that sounds amazing. And I really want to know how to do this, because every time I accidentally hit one of those, I can feel like all of life running through me. It's amazing. And so eventually my mum said yes. And I went to this local teacher there's only two things that this teacher disliked, and that was children and music.
Not great for a music teacher.
Not great for a music teacher. She was so strict and stern, and she's talking to me in Latin and Italian and this theory and squiggles all over the page, and it's so complicated and so serious, and my parents are paying for this, so they're like really up my ass to and I was just, this man, talk about suck all the fun out of it. And it became this disciplined, have to do this activity, completely killed my passion for music, which is saying something. And after a few years of that, after not really feel like I was making the most amazing progress, and it becoming a sterile chore that I didn't want to do anymore, I quit, which was the death of my dream. It sucked really, really, really. I remember getting permission to stop playing piano from my mum and dad, and been kind of just felt this lifelessness about like, sorry to swear, but like, God, like, that was a big dream when I was a kid, and I guess now it's back to the adult real world to go do something else. And by chance, my dad died right around that time. He had a heart attack. It was sudden. And he was so loud, and after he died, the house was so quiet, and the piano's sitting there, and I can't, I feel like, I just got to go, like, take myself to it. And then I go back to the piano, and I'm not trying to pass an exam or impress a teacher or anything like that. I just want to connect. I want that music therapy out. That magic that got me on piano in the first place. And so then I go back to this teaching myself thing, this time with all the knowledge that I picked up from the traditional lessons and all that theoretical knowledge. And I was able to kind of figure out a completely different relationship with the piano with that full understanding, which was the best of both worlds. And I did that for many years. And then that's what's then allowed me to go around the world and, play for people and share beauty for a living.
Thank you for sharing that. And that resonates a lot with me. I remember even at my dad's funeral, I had pre-recorded a song that I had sung for the funeral. And of course, it started at a time that it wasn't supposed to be playing. And then when it was supposed to be playing, it wouldn't come on. And so it was my family just kind of looked at me like, you should go sing, like go sing it a cappella. So I did. I went up and and it got me to sing a cappella, which I stopped performing when I had my daughter, which was 10 years ago. And I had already started my manual practice practice and my biomechanics practice and kind of helping other people continue to sing. But at the time, I wasn't performing anymore. And I just felt like it was my dad saying, no, I want to hear you. I don't want to hear your recording.
Wow.
So,
And to echo that, my first ever performance was at my dad's funeral. I was petrified. I was very shy as a kid, and I would not be a musician were it not for that, because same thing. I played out of the necessity of the moment, and because mystically, and who knows, like God has a sense of humor, but mystically, 2 days before he died, I wrote my first song on piano, noodling around, and he heard it. He cried. I'd never seen my dad cry. And then he told me that one day he wants me to play at his funeral. And I was like, how am I ever going to remember that? 2 days later, he died. And a week and a half later, I was playing at his funeral. And as it was the most cathartic experience. The act of doing that, it was like I was acknowledging my dad at the same time. There was this like group healing that kind of occurs when music occurs. And it was just so cathartic and therapeutic, that moment. And it's been something I've kind of carried forward forevermore, because I don't pretend to not know the power of music. I don't diminish it. I don't pretend to not know that this can do magic stuff. And when I perform now, like, you might not believe in it, but I know it. And so come and have an experience with me and sit down and let's play some song and let's explore something beautiful. And let's tell these stories of great artists, and we'll find ourselves in them, and we'll disappear, and we'll get nostalgic, and we'll sing Adele, and we'll miss a love we've never even had. And we'll, like, and we'll play Sting, and we'll be more elegant than we've ever been. And it's like you can access things that you didn't even know were within you. And I know that's what music is. And that all started for me playing at a funeral. So funny that we've got that as a thing in common there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, music is the language of the world. We can speak a similar language to anyone who we might not be able to speak the same language through word, but we can certainly speak the same language through music. It's very
so true.
Yeah.
How did you the biomechanical thing? How did you get into that?
So I went. Well, when I was in high school, I actually had major thoracic surgery. So a major trauma. I almost lost my life. And through just becoming a professional singer, I had a lot of coordination issues with my voice that didn't have anything to do at the vocal fold level, but had a lot to do with the body level. So I became a manual therapist for professional voice users because I was having a hard time finding that kind of care for me as a singer. So I wanted to help other people continue their careers. And then as I became a manual therapist, it made me very much realize that a lot of it has to do with kind of what we send someone home to do and being able to do the movement and the work at home. And yeah, now I've just been so interested in finding out what movements are the most beneficial for the voice. And that's where my heart's right now.
That's something we could really talk about, because I'll tell you two really personal things. One is I did a show in Dubai on the 22nd of December 2022, and I'd been recording music on the 16th, 17th, 18th in the UK, and I was going all through the night. So I was super tired, and I was doing this very, very, very high note song that I'd written. And the way I like to record myself is I'll record myself like 6,000 times to get that very perfect take. So that's really taxing on a voice. But when I'm in the moment and the excitement of it, I don't necessarily notice that. And I'll just kind of do a lip roll or stretch out my neck, and I'll have another go. And so I got to Dubai and my voice was pretty tired. And then I had 3 shows back to back. So I do the first show, I wake up the next day. It's the only time in my life I couldn't produce a sound. Can't get a sound out my voice. And that evening I'm playing 2,000 people. They've all bought tickets. I'm like, not playing that is not an option. So I went to this ear, nose and throat specialist in Dubai, and he gave me steroid injections into the vocal cords themselves. And he did that 3 times with 40-minute breaks. And that worked. It got me through that. And then I had what's called the legs, which is some kind of come down off that much steroid, where you feel woozy and dizzy. The next day, I did a show where I did minimal singing, and then I lost like half of my upper range thereafter for like a year and a half. For a year and a half, anytime I would approach what used to be my mixed voice, my vocal cords would just blow open. And there's no nodules. I had them looked at, but it's like something changed from that experience. And I've been on this process of like relearning to sing from that moment. I was just doing a show in Paris, and this is now, so what is that? We're 2.5 years later, and it's the first time was this week when I hit the note that was in that song that I was recording right before going to Dubai, which is all the way up here. Oh, you can't hear it, but it's an A all the way up there. It's the first time I hit it in full voice, and it was kind of accidental in the thoughtlessness of the moment. So I could chat to you about that for so long, because I'd be curious to combine the bits that I've learned and the bits that you've learned, and I wonder what we come up with that. That's a subject I'm fascinated about.
Yeah. I mean, it's what I've dedicated my life to, is helping artists, whether it's a diagnosis of the vocal folds of something like a polyp or vocal nodules or a cyst or something like that, or whether they've been diagnosed with something like spasmodic dysphonia, trying to help them find their voice again.
Is that what RFK Jr. has, the spasmodic dysphonia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So do you think you could handle RFK Jr. if given the shot?
I think that there would be segments of time that we could get to a point of complete. A lot of times when I put people in certain movements with spasmodic dysphonia, the voice is very clear, which I don't know yet what that means. We don't have any research on it yet. I've talked to a couple colleagues who are interested in potentially doing research whenever we're able to do research on it again, of whether or not the movements, what's really happening at the vocal fold level. We're not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I asked that.
but it's exciting when you put someone in it and all of a sudden they hear their voice very clear for minutes, and
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. We digress, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
I have a friend whose brother is working directly for him right now, so maybe we can try and connect those dots. Fly to Washington, have a go on RFK Jr. Because I genuinely believe that man would be like, it becomes a barrier, especially when he's in a job like one of his primary roles is orating, like he's a speaker, and it must be so frustrating for him.
Yeah.
He has such interesting things to say, but the delivery is so obviously getting in the way of it sometimes.
Yeah. And that's true for as soon as any performer has something happen with the voice. And as you mentioned, part of that too is once you've experienced that, what starts to happen in the nervous system and how does your body start to respond? So then your body might not be breathing as optimally. You might be starting to hold your breath. You might start to get a little bit more anxious as those notes, if it happened on certain notes, might start to come up. And how does the body start to respond? And so my job, I collaborate with a lot of voice teachers, although I've had amazing, 20 years with Joan later, but many years, 30 plus years of voice lessons. But I collaborate in New York City with some of the top Broadway teachers, and then I do the hands-on work, and then I also do the movement work. So it's kind of, they're doing some voicing stuff, and then I look at what is potentially happening in the body that might be limiting what's happening around the airway. So it's so fun.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I want to come and chat about your academy.
Yeah.
Your academy just won an award, which is so amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell me about, when did you start you started the academy during the pandemic.
I did.
And
This
How did it kind of come to be and where it is now?
Yeah. Well, we just won best piano course in the world. That's quite an award to get. So if I go backwards 11 years from now, I was sitting on a kitchen table in North London and I'd just done a concert. And to make this concert more engaging, I pulled people from the audience onto the stage, and then in front of the audience, I'd give them a simple instruction and then I'd get them to play with me. And then I was doing some stuff down here to make it sound amazing, but I was getting them to press a certain collection of notes that would automatically sound good based on what I was doing down here. And this went down like such a storm. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And so initially, just for the purpose of making an amazing show, I was researching all these different ways where I could get someone in literally less than a minute able to do something on piano that would be working on stage like that. And then I started to get all this feedback of people coming up to me after the show telling me how they've always wanted to play piano and, oh my God, they've always wanted to play piano. And then they'll always tell me the same story or a variation of the same story, let's say, which is they've either taken lessons as a kid or as an adult, or they've tried an app or they've tried something or one or more lessons. But for what they've learned from this experience is that they're no good at it. They're not musical. They can't do it. And it's really hard. And they had a bad experience and didn't ultimately get the result. And I knew that more than anyone because I'd just been through that for 20 years. So nobody knew that music education sucked more than me. I really lived it. And so I started investigating it. And it's very, very interesting. 97% on piano specifically, but 97% of people who start playing piano don't make it to a mediocre level. So there's a gap in the education. And if you've tried piano lessons, what you would experience is there's many reasons why it fails. First of all, the technology of teaching it hasn't really changed since medieval times. It's still using the same kind of squiggles and wiggles that were invented around 1,000 years ago. It's still been taught predominantly in Latin and Italian, two languages that nobody speaks other than Italy. And it's still taught with a bunch of theory that it doesn't really relate anymore to how people are playing the piano. It might be perfect if you're playing within an orchestra and you're doing arrangements for 110 instruments and yada, 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 and but if you're just sitting there and you want to play your favorite songs, it's so beyond what you need. And like you've probably experienced with the voice, after going through like this whole experience, by the time you've figured it out and you're kind of at the top of the mountain and you're able to play, it becomes very simple. So from my vantage point, music's really simple now. It wasn't, but it is now. And so when I look backwards on that journey that I've done, I go, huh, like I've wasted so many years. I didn't need to do that. I could have skipped that. I could have streamlined that. I could have done. And so when I would listen to people talking about their experience and wanting to learn, and this is what they're trying, and I would go and look at that stuff and be like, man, it's so obvious to me that there can be a dramatically better way. But it's also a really daunting task because who wants to go and reinvent a subject? Like that doesn't sound fun. But I just kind of.
But it sounds like an adventure.
But it's you know me. It was the never been done before part that kind of got me, and I definitely wasn't thinking with it being a business, and I definitely wasn't even thinking like I didn't even talk to people about it because it seemed so geeky. And so I had a couple of like really nerdy music friends who I'd like talk to. And then I have a lot of friends in London who I'd like invite to my house and try little tricks on them and stuff. Hey, do this and then do this and do this and see if they could do it. And it was 9 years. It took me 9 years to come up with this new way of learning piano. And the way that it works essentially is you're only ever practicing one very simple thing. So you're not getting overwhelmed. Because it's one simple thing, it only requires 10 minutes of practice, not 6 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. Because it's one simple thing, anybody can do it. And then you can master that step very quickly and move on to the next step. And that's really intuitive because that's how we learn a lot of other very complex things. And I got a lot of this from, I was learning how to fly. And when they teach you how to fly, that's exactly how they teach you. What they don't do when you're learning to fly is say, hey, today we're going to fly to Boston. which is the musical equivalent. Is like, hey, welcome to piano. Today we're going to play this song. It's like, wait, hold on a minute. Just a second. There's a few things that are going to be happening. Like when you're playing a piano, there's a lot happening at once. And much like flying an aeroplane, like I'm not quite ready to get in the sky just yet. Why don't we talk? What does this pedal do? And what does this thing do? And so that's what it was. And it took me 9 years to figure it out. And then it kind of sat there when it was finished, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, okay. And people would come up to me after my shows, and then I'd be like, hey, well, I've got this. Do you want to try it out? And I did 49 people went through it. 49 out of 49 were them playing piano. And I was like, wow, this is insane. And I naively took it to like some music educational institutes. They were less than happy to receive it. It didn't make sense to me why that would be initially, but I realized it completely kills their entire business model. If your business model is come to Berkeley and do $75,000 a year for 3 years, well, then you're probably not super happy to hear about Bob's program that's going to like, you probably don't really want to hear about it. So I kind of learned that the hard way very quickly. And I started selling it to my audience. And then in COVID, all my shows got cancelled. And so like years of jet lag suddenly like went away. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I was doing live shows on my Instagram twice a day, 3 hours each show. So I did 6 hours of free performing every day just to try and like keep some positivity in the world. And when I started doing that, I had 0 people. I actually did one full live stream to 0 people. That was humbling. And after, I thought I was going to be doing that for a couple of weeks because obviously nobody knew how long COVID was going to go. But I was doing that for almost 9 months. At the end of 9 months, I had 70,000 people on one of those live streams. And I would get the same feedback, but now I get it in my DMs. And it's a lot of people writing to me about how they want to play piano. And so I'd be like, well, hey, I've got this thing. And then it kind of became a business. And it saved me during COVID, both emotionally and spiritually, because I felt I had a purpose. And financially, because when all those shows got cancelled, I have to give back the 50% deposit, but I've already paid tax on it. And so I was like in a really rough spot. And this was like perfect. So on all flows, it was like, wow, I've got something useful I can do. I can't be suppressed and stopped by a government. I can do it anywhere in the world because it's done online. I had students in over 40 countries within the first month because I had a lot, these people knew my music. And then I took all the money that it made and I put it into ads. That was really uncomfortable because this might be surprising, but I actually hate being in advertising. And it's totally cheesy and unnatural and it goes against every British bone in my body to be so like loud but I'll do it because it works. And I did that. And then I took all the money that it made and I put it into more ads. And then now here we are. And it's about 4 years after that now. We just crossed 40,000 students in over 100 countries. Everybody from complete beginners at 96 years old, through to multi-Grammy Award winners, through to 5-year-olds. One of my first students was 5 years old, didn't even speak English, and a mum translated it. And then they both ended up playing piano. That kid at 6 years old went on to win the Laureate Award at Moscow State University, which is one of the technically most advanced schools of piano in the world. And I was like, wow, like we're onto something. And then, recently we got our best piano course in the world award, which was very lovely. And to be totally honest, again, now I tell you that story, looking backwards, I'm still kind of a bit perplexed how that's all happened. It was never really intended. It is just gone that way. And that's kind of, story of my life, really. It starts with like a flicker of passion, and then I really throw myself into it, and then it snowballs in some direction, and that may or may not be what I ever thought it might be, but that is the nature of adventure.
Yes.
The beauty of an adventure is you don't necessarily know where you're going to end up.
That's very true. The adventure is the journey.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, as a parent of an almost 10-year-old who I did put into piano lessons, we got kicked out because I asked for a month off for some vacation during the holidays. And we got told that there would not be a space for my daughter anymore. So she was doing really well too, and she was really liking it. I am very interested in your program.
Yeah. It works very well for kids. It works particularly well because they have such short focused practice sessions rather than doing like 16 different things at once. And then now you've got to practice for an hour or two. By just giving them one thing to do. And also because you're only focusing on one thing, you can very quickly accomplish that thing. There's a sense of achievement. There's a sense of progress. And there's a real audible, you can see the person progressing. And that becomes quite catchy, especially, kids like that. Kids like, they work, they get a grade, they improve. They work, they get a grade, they improve.
Yeah, the positive reinforcement of that they are accomplishing something.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like that.
Yeah, me too. I like that as well, actually. So that'll we can hook you up and we'll get your daughter playing again in no time.
Yes, I am looking forward to that because I think much like I believe, or I was very adamant about her learning how to swim because I think that's something that we should all know how to do. I feel like piano is, I have a minor in piano. I had to minor in piano in order to major in voice. And a lot of us did. So I played, but I certainly didn't necessarily play with passion, although I played piano before I ever played. I did double major on French horn, and I loved playing French horn. And I felt like piano set me up to love music, love singing, love playing another instrument, love reading music, like reading a book. And it was kind of entirely was the foundation of all of that.
I hear that so often. First of all, like all Western music was invented on a piano. You think like all Western music comes from these big classical songs that were made by people like Mozart, Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, Schubert, sitting on a piano, writing instruments. They'd write for the French horn and the viola and the saxophone and the voices and the timpanis. And why did they do it on a piano? Because I'm sitting looking at a piano right now, but you can see the whole orchestra when you look at a piano because you see the range of each instrument, right? And it's very intuitive. It's like, oh, wow, you're kind of above everything. And it's a really common thing that I see, like people who learn piano, then going into other things. It's like, oh, I have the understanding now. So now I've just got to learn how do I operate this mechanical thing to do it on this thing? How do I control the voice to execute this understanding I now have through the voice or through a French horn or through a violin? That's quite a cool thing. The other thing which I was going to say to you, by the way, is about 30% of our students, believe it or not, are either parents doing it with their kids or grandparents doing it with their kids. So that's something you could do it with your daughter and you'd have a nice little bonding thing to do every day.
Yeah.
Down 10 minutes.
Well, my husband is also a musician, so
oh God,
we'll have to do it as a family. It sounds amazing. Yes.
Must have a fun house.
It is. It's a very fun house.
That's cool. Is he like he's a working musician, like he's a composer, a performer? What does he do?
We met performing.
Wow.
Well, we were both singers, but he also plays saxophone. Now neither of us do since having our daughter, but so she knows she has different parents than we were before we had her. We were traveling the world together. We also got to sing in Dubai together. And yeah, we've traveled the world singing together. So
beautiful.
And he plays a little bit of piano as well. So
well, I echo the thing you said earlier when you were talking about the funeral. I think it's a great thing to, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but if you can phase in a little bit of that back into your life, if you've got that skill to share with people, it's so fulfilling. I mean, so fulfilling to go and share it. And I don't know, I'd love to hear you sing. I think the world having more people putting beauty into it is a beautiful thing. There's no shortage of demand for people wanting beauty. And I think that now I'm in a little place called Clearwater. There's like nothing entertainment wise here. Like, what do people do? You just sit at home watching Netflix all day? Like, what do you do here? I come from London. On any given day, on any given street, there is world-class music. So what is this? Like, what do you do? And
yes, they need you.
They do. And I'm doing a competition with my students in the school where the winners get to come and play on stage with me. And we're going to do it here. I found a theater and I'm going to make a variety show. I'm going to bring a bunch of my students. I'm like, right, this is it. And I'm playing tomorrow, by the way. I guess this won't go out yet, but I'm doing a big show tomorrow, 2,800 people just down the road, at a place called Ruth Eckert Hall. But I'll be doing many of those things.
Yeah. If you have some coming up, feel free to mention them or send them to me. I can always put them in the show notes too.
Yeah.
So people can see you.
That's tomorrow. I don't know. Christian will know better to be able to say, but I could talk to you forever, Christine. It's very
I know. I so appreciate you coming on. I am aware of the time, and I know you have to run, and I'm so grateful to have been able to have you on the podcast and be able to have this conversation. The work that you're doing is really inspiring and very much lines up actually with the work that I do, only in a very different way. And it's been really, really wonderful being able to have you on and learn from you.
I feel the exact same, and it's funny, there is a lot of overlap, and we should probably talk about that actually, because I work with a lot of other different kind of educators and people around this field of music, because we're all working together at the end of the day. So amazing to connect with you, and thank you for having me on the show. And to anybody who's listening, thanks for being here. And if you ever want to reach out to me, you can just DM me on Instagram. I respond to as many people as I can, and we'll hook you and your daughter up and to a more musical future. I'm probably going to come see you about my voice as well. Why not?
Yeah, there we go. And to many more adventures.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Stephen.
Thank you, Christine. Bye.
Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, tell your colleagues, students, and friends. Subscribe, rate, and please write a review. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook, and feel free to check out my website at www.thevisceralvoice.com for information on programs and upcoming events. I hope you join us next time for another wonderful conversation on The Visceral Voice.